I fucked up and clicked on this rather than the top of the thing. Holy shit. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Okay, everyone. Alrighty. We're all done reading each other's poems, right? Actually, Natsuki and I haven't shared yet. Uh-oh. I could feel a storm coming on. Yuri hesitantly approaches Natsuki, who isn't meeting her eyes. And considering Natsuki's poem for today, it's no wonder that she doesn't want to share with Yuri. Judging by Monika and Sayori's anxious expressions, they seem to be thinking along the same lines as I am. I can practically see Natsuki sweating pinballs. Meanwhile, Yuri appears to be blissfully unaware of the situation. I'd convinced Natsuki to reconcile with Yuri, but if she sees Natsuki's poem, well, it's all over. So, Natsuki, if I may? You're... How about we do this tomorrow instead? I'm not feeling too well. It's my time of the month. I can practically see Monika internally facepalming. Natsuki must have forgotten that the club isn't all girls anymore. I don't give a shit. Doesn't really matter too much to me, man. That shit happens. You're in a classroom with a bunch of high school girls. Yes, periods are a thing, okay? Yes, I said the fucking forbidden word, ladies and gentlemen. Periods. Yes, that is a thing. Be men about it. Anyway. That's so. I'm sorry, you must feel absolutely terrible if you can't even share your poem today. You don't need to apologize, it's not your fault. I can definitely share tomorrow. Well, even if you aren't feeling well enough to share your own poem, would you like to see mine? I, wrote it thinking of our argument the other day. I suppose that I wanted to show you that I'm more open-minded than I may have appeared. As a way of repenting. I know that it's not much, but hopefully this can contribute to a reconciliation between us. Although we may have our disagreements, I would like to consider you a friend. And friends forgive each other. Sorry if that's presumptuous to me to say. No, that's not presumptuous if you say that. Because I'd like to consider you a friend as well. So you can hand over the poem then. With a shy smile, Yuri hands the sheet of paper to her hands, or in her hands over to Natsuki. As Natsuki reads the poem, her eyes widen. You're writing using rhyme and stuff, like me? You could say that you convinced me to practice adding more lyricism. I need to not read that way. It's lyricism. Lyricism. Lyricism isn't a fucking... Well, I guess it could be that way, too. I don't fucking know anymore. To my poetry. Natsuki looks like she's speechless for once. Thanks, Yuri. It's awesome. There's really no need to thank me. Well, I'm really glad that I got to know you. And I'll definitely have something that'll knock your socks off tomorrow. Then I'll be looking forward to that. I do hope that you feel better tomorrow as well, so that you could share your work with me then. Yeah, of course. That was a crisis and a half avoided. I'm really glad that Natsuki and Yuri worked things out, and it seems that Monika and Sayori feel the same way. It's good to see everyone getting along. Now that we are done sharing, though, I have something to discuss with you all. There's a great opportunity for expanding the club that's coming up. Is this about the festival? You could say that. Do we have to do something? It's only a few days, so it's not like we'll be able to come up with anything good. Yes, that's something I'm concerned about as well. With such little time left to prepare, I doubt we'll be able to put together anything good enough to attract new members. Yeah, we'll just end up embarrassing ourselves. Oh, don't worry so much. We're going to keep it simple, okay? Nothing more than a few decorations. I can design some pamphlets to hand out at the event, and Sayori made posters to put up around the school. Yeah, we're already getting to that point, ladies and gentlemen, and it continues beyond that. If I recall, there is a timeline here, and there is also a, there's going to be fucking Halloween after that, I believe? So, and then I think there's also fucking a Christmassy thing as well. I think it hits wintertime and stuff in here, so there's quite a bit in here. But let's move on. Okay, that's great and all, but that doesn't tell us what we're actually going to be doing for the event. I had like a thought here. Give me a minute. Give me a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, cool. I have been recording this whole time. I got scared for a minute there. Sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to put on a poetry performance. A what? Monica. Everyone's going to choose one poem to recite it out loud. It doesn't have to be written by you, as long as you put your heart into the recitation. Although, of course, it'd be great if you could show off your own work. And the cool part is, we're also going to let anyone else come up and recite their poems too. Yeah, I put a thing on the posters that says bring your own poems. It's gonna be so cool. Sayori pulls a poster out of her bag and holds it up for us to see. Are you kidding me, Monica? Don't tell me you started putting those posters up already. Yeah, well, I did. Do you really think it's that bad of an idea? Well, you didn't even ask us before you started advertising. I never agreed to stand up in front of a bunch of random people and perform our poems. I agree with Natsuki. I could never, in my life, do something like that. Imagining it, Yuri shakes her head in fear. Guys. Yes, let's please calm down and take a moment to think about it. I understand that you two haven't had much experience sharing your poems out loud. In fact, we all haven't done that much. But I still think we should try our best. Look around. Monica motions to all of us. We're all here because we have passion for literature and this club. Don't you want to share that passion with other people? To inspire them to pursue their inner writer? Yeah. It's all about exploring yourself and trying new things, all while having fun. Monica and I nod our heads in agreement. Natsuki and Yuri, on the other hand, remain silent. Guess that means it's my turn to say something. I mean, I don't think it's that much to ask. As Monica said, we're all here because we care about the club and want to see it flourish. And if all that means is a 2-minute poetry performance, then I think we can manage. Sayori and Monica's face lighten up as I finish speaking. Hey, it isn't like we don't care about the club. It's just, do we really have to perform? You know how hard it is to get new members. It's because people are just narrow-minded jerks. They don't even give literature a chance. Who's to say this festival will be any different? I am inclined to agree with Natsuki. I'm sorry, Monica. I know how much you want to do this, but I just can't imagine performing in front of a crowd of strangers. Well, at least Yuri and Natsuki have proven they can agree on something. Monica sighs, her eyes closed as she rubs her temples. Look, guys, I know you're anxious. I understand that. I really do. To be honest with you, I'm a little bit nervous myself. After all, it's my club, so people are going to judge me the most if our performance doesn't go well. Natsuki, if it makes you feel any better, a few of my friends will be coming along. They're lovely people. They won't judge you for your tastes. I've known them for a few years, trust me. Natsuki huffs, turning away. She doesn't look particularly convinced. And Yuri, I know it's a scary thought, but I've thought of a way to ease you into it. Why don't we start by practicing our poems to each other in the club? No way! Monica, this is too sudden. Well, if you can't recite your poems in front of the club, how do you expect to do it in front of strangers? But, Monica, there's just gotta be something else we can do. Yuri nods vigorously at Natsuki's words, anxiety written all over her face. But guys... No, Sayori, it's okay. If you guys really think we can do better than poetry performance, then I'll gladly go along with an alternative. So, any ideas? An awkward silence fills the room. We all glance at each other anxiously before Sayori finally speaks up. Oh, we could... Sayori stops and thinks to herself for a moment. Wait, no. Never mind. That wouldn't work. Once again, the room falls silent. Well then, I guess we can't come up with something different after all. Monica laughs, attempting to ease the tension in the room. I know you guys might not be the most on board with this idea, but I think it's our best option. Please, guys, please. Can you stop pressuring us? I'm honestly surprised Natsuki's putting up such a resistance. I knew she was a little hot-headed, but even still. I'm not pressuring you, Natsuki. Both of them have raised their voice. Yuri looks a little startled, and Sayori looks anxious to intervene. Wah, guys, please, there's no need to get angry. Can we just discuss this normally? Monika reflects on Sayori's words, looking a little ashamed of her outburst. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to raise my voice. It's just, this festival is important to me, that's all. Ever since I created this club, I've always wanted to show other people. Natsuki, Yuri, I imagine you were both a little apprehensive when Fox joined, right? After all, he was an unfamiliar face. She smiles warmly at me. But look, he's integrating really well. She faces Natsuki. I mean, you two bonded over manga, right? We just asked you for recommendations, and from what I could gather, you both share a common interest. Hey, it's not like we bonded or anything. It was just nice to find someone else who likes manga, that's all. She shoots a look at Yuri. Of course, how silly of me to forget. Anyway, maybe some of these new members might also be manga enthusiasts. Who knows? Surely you'd like to be able to share your passion with other people, right? Natsuki shrugs half-heartedly. I suppose that'd be cool, yeah. Monika beams. See? That's exactly my mentality. Wanting to share the things you like with new people. Yeah, I know that. It's just... Are there really no other ideas? Remember, poetry performances are a pretty big part of this club. We want to show people what our meetings are really like. If we just gave out posters or showed them our poems in writing only, it wouldn't really be a fair reflection. Seeing that there's no real way she's going to win this, Natsuki sits back and grumbles something under her breath. So what do you think, guys? For me, for us, fine. I still don't think this is a good idea, but fine. I'll do it. Just stop guilt-tripping us. Phew. Thanks, Natsuki. And you, Yuri. Yuri nervously glances at each of our expectant faces. But, Monika, what if people start being inconsiderate and disturb us or laugh? I'm not surprised Yuri's worried about this. Oh, don't you worry. If anyone steps out of line, I'll put a swift stop to that. She has a stern glint in her eye, and I have to repress a shiver. I'm glad she's with us. Yuri looks somewhat relieved, but it's clear she's still worried. She swallows and nods. I suppose I don't really have a choice, do I? I shake my head. Okay. I'll do it. Yay, that's everyone. You're the best, Yuri. This club is seriously going to be the death of me. I know you'll do great, Yuri, just trust me. But anyway, let's move back into the main event. While we have time, I want each of you to choose a poem of yours to practice reciting in front of each other. Yuri and Natsuki exchange uneasy glances, but don't say anything. Don't worry, I'll go first so everyone feels a little more comfortable. Can I go next? Of course. Now let's see. Monika flips through her notebook, searching for a specific poem. Ah, here we are. The title of this poem is The Way They Fly. Monika begins reciting her poem. Her clear, confident voice fills the room. Her eyes move across the page in sync with her lips. Every word has the perfect amount of emotion behind it, making the poem almost come to life. Her inflection is extraordinary. I'm impressed, and judging by a quick glance around me, so is everyone else. Sayori looks amazed. Yuri has an intense expression on her face that I don't understand. Even Natsuki's once sour attitude is replaced by awe. Finally, Monika finishes the recitation. The four of us applaud. Monika takes a breath and smiles. That was so good, Monika. Thank you very much. I was just hoping to set a good example. Are you ready to go next, Sayori? Yep. Sayori jumps up from her chair and takes Monika's place at the front of the room. This poem is called, How did you do it so easily, Monika? Well, try to imagine you're alone, like you're reciting it to yourself. It's your poem, so it'll come out best that way. Oh, I think I get it. Sayori nods to herself. Anyway, this poem's called My Meadow. Sayori begins reciting her poem. It seems as if her soft voice is a perfect match. As for the poem itself, it has a similar tone, when compared to her other ones. It's peaceful, yet somber at the same time. Bittersweet, you could call it. Hearing the poem in Sayori's voice almost gives it an entirely new meaning. I think this is what Sayori means when she says she likes my poems. It's like seeing a whole new side of someone you thought you knew completely. Sayori finishes, and we all applaud. I did it. Yep, good job. Sayori beams as she walks back to her seat. So, who'd like to go next? Natsuki, Yuri, and I all look at each other nervously. I open my mouth, but Yuri beats me to the punch. I'll go. Nice. Thanks for showing initiative, Yuri. Yes. Yuri rushes over to the podium, clutching a sheet of paper in her hands. This poem is called... Yuri freezes as she looks up at us. You can do it, Yuri. It's called Afterimage of a Crimson Eye. Yuri begins to recite her poem. Her voice is shaky at first, but the more she reads, the more confident she becomes. She's basically me when it comes to public speaking. It's the best way that I can explain it. Incredibly fucking anxious at the start and shaky, but once you begin, dear God. It's similar to what happens when she gets absorbed in her books. The shy and apprehensive Yuri I'm used to is replaced by a fierce and confident woman. The poem itself is like a maze in its structure with twists and turns at every line, but Yuri is unfazed and enunciates each word with perfect timing. This must be a rare glimpse into the whirling fire Yuri keeps concealed inside her head. Suddenly, she's finished. Everyone is stunned. Yuri snaps back into reality and glances around her as if she is bewildered even herself. Monica's the first to start applauding. Sheepishly, I followed along, and soon the clubroom was filled with the sound of applause. Yuri ducks her head in embarrassment, a shy smile creeping over her face. Yuri, that was really good. Like I said, you don't have anything to worry about. Thank you for sharing. Thanks. Yuri's done for the day, I guess. So who'd like to go next? Natsuki? Why should I go before Fox? It's not like I can compare to you guys anyway. Might as well let Fox lower everyone's standards before I go. Natsuki. Monica hastens to chastise her, shooting me a sympathizing look. It's kinda rude, don't you think? She go apologize to Fox. Natsuki's face turns red as the girls all turn to look at her. I decide to spare Natsuki from the embarrassment. Yeah, it's really no big deal. I'll end up going at some point anyway, so might as well do it now. Thing is, I don't have much of a selection to choose from. I'll just have to go with the one that I wrote for today. I stand up and step in front of the podium. Everyone has their eyes on me, making me feel terribly awkward. I take a deep breath. In my head, I repeat to myself the advice Monica gave to Sayori. Try to imagine you're alone, like you're reciting it to yourself. Alone. My house is the first thing that comes to mind when I think of alone. The scene rapidly develops in my head like I'm recalling a recent memory. Sitting alone at my desk, the dim light hanging from the ceiling gives me a warmth to the room. In front of me is the poem I had just finished, the ink from my pen still fresh on the page. I pick up the notebook and begin reciting it out loud. While I'm not the most confident in it, I still try to put energy into it. I can almost hear my voice echoing off the bedroom walls. As I finish, the sound of applause fills the room, pulls me out of my daydream. I'm back in the club room, standing at the podium while the girls politely applaud my performance. That was good, Fox. I guess. Oh, don't be so hard on yourself. I don't think it's your writing abilities, but rather your lack of confidence that weighs you down. That's something that'll improve over time, though, so don't worry. Yeah, alright. Thanks. Alright then. That just leaves you, Natsuki. Yeah, I'm going. As she says this, let me just yawn first, fuck. Natsuki begrudgingly gets out of her seat and makes her way to the podium. The poem is called... It's called... Stop looking at me! But you're presenting. You don't have to stare straight into my soul, though. She takes a moment to compose herself. Anyway, the poem is called Jump. Natsuki takes a breath. While her voice is unenthusiastic, the poem has a surprising amount of energy to it. The rhymes tie into each other seamlessly, creating a flow that moves the poem along at a brisk pace. The words seem to bounce up and down with the rhythm, seemingly making the poem come to life. It's Natsuki's signature style, and it works exceptionally well when read out loud. She quickly finishes and huffs as she makes her way back to her seat while we applaud her. That wasn't too bad, was it? She stares at her poem blankly for a second before replying. Easy for you to say. You better not make me do that again. Well... That's what we're going to be doing at the festival, so... Do you at least feel confident enough to do it in front of a crowd? I guess. Not like there's any other choice. And I guess it'll be easier doing it in front of other people. I can just put on whatever face I want with strangers. I don't care about what they think of me. But when it's just my friends, it's just embarrassing. But I still hate the idea that we have to perform. She mutters that last sentence under her breath. The others probably didn't even hear it. I knew Natsuki was stubborn, but this is a whole other level. However, it does look like she's going along with the idea of performing for the festival. Well, at least for now, she's basically outvoted and can't come up with another idea anyway. Really? That's a surprise. For me, it's the other way around. Having all those people looking at you, judging you. I don't even want to think about it. I can relate to that. Yuri murmurs quietly. The thought of so many eyes observing your every move at once. She trails off, shaking her head. Oh, that's just how it is, so... Natsuki sighs in frustration. Well, I guess in that case, you won't have much to worry about for the festival. Speaking of which, I want to thank all of you for performing. It might be difficult, but now that we have a general idea of what it'll be like, we'll be able to prepare ourselves. Make sure you pick out a poem and show it to me by tomorrow, okay? I'll need to know so I can make the pamphlets over the weekend. I should probably find a different poem to recite. I know you'd prefer it if we used our own poetry, but I'm probably going to pick a poem from a poet I like or something. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, Fox. I'm already pleasantly surprised that you're putting all this effort into the club. Low expectations, huh? More like, any effort put in makes me happy in general. Monika smiles at me and then turns to smile at everyone else. That goes for everyone here. Thanks for going along with these last-minute plans. Anyway, I think that about does it for today. Let's still try and write poems for tomorrow, okay? I know the festival's coming up, but it's been working out nicely the past few days, and I'd like it to continue. Tomorrow we'll finalize who's doing what for the festival, and then we'll have a weekend to prepare. Remember, we have until Monday. It'll be so much fun. I can't wait. We all stand up packing our things, however Monika's voice stops us. Oh, and guys, she pauses, twirling a strand of her hair in her hand. This club truly does mean so much to me, and I really appreciate that you're willing to what you're willing to do for it. You guys are the best. In a typical fashion, Natsuki just rolls her eyes. Yuri smiles timidly while Sayori wears a hearty smile. Let's just get it over with. I hope we don't regret this. It's okay, Monika. Nothing to thank us for. We really appreciate what you've made for us. I can't help but catch Yuri muttering under her breath after she says this. I can do this. I can do this. Yeah, I love it here. We'll get to spread this cozy little place to other people. Yeah, it's all good, Monika. Alright. I stand up and grab my bag. While I'm certainly not as enthusiastic as Monika or Sayori about the festival, if I can pull that little daydream stunt again, I think I'll be alright. It's for the sake of the club. Not to mention impressing the girls. Once I'm fully packed up, I walk over to Sayori. Ready to go? Yep. Geez, don't you two ever get tired of always walking home? I fucked that one up entirely. Geez, don't you ever get tired of always walking home with Fox, Sayori? Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Oh, don't mind her. You guys are more adorable than anything. Alright, alright. No need to make such a big deal about it. It must be a little nice, though. Yeah, I guess. Ah, jeez. Let's just go already, Sayori. Okay. The two of us begin to walk home. A lot has changed in the past few days. Lost in thought, I don't even notice how quiet Sayori's being until we're almost back home. There's a lot going on in the club now, eh? Bet you're thinking about all your new vice president duties and what you'll have to deal with when the club grows bigger. Dots. Yeah? Oh, yeah. Anything specific on your mind? Not really. Sorry, did you want to talk? I mean, we don't have to if you're thinking about stuff. No, it's nice talking to you. I was thinking about something from earlier. It's nice that we, never mind, it's nothing. You're sounding a little like Yuri right now. Huh? Oh, yeah. I guess I just have a question for you, Fox. What's up? Sayori clears her throat before speaking. So, let's just say one day Yuri asked to walk home with you. Huh? What would you do? What kind of question is that? You're kind of putting me on the spot here. Well, obviously I would walk home with Sayori because we're going down Sayori route. In all seriousness, though, in that kind of a situation, yeah, I would feel like I have an obligation with Sayori, and I would want to include other club members with other things, but since it is already a thing, like, it would kind of feel like a betrayal that way, so I would have to stick with Sayori anyway. Sayori? I'd walk with you, of course. Sayori pauses for a moment. Eh? She glances at me from the side before turning away. But she's so beautiful and smart. Dots. Jeez. Why me? Her reply surprises me, and I'm not sure how to answer or what she wants to hear. I already see her in the club every day. Besides, you always seem to really like going home together. I wouldn't just ruin that for you. You're so silly, Fox. She gives me a pained smile. You think about me too much sometimes. Yuri would deserve it if she wanted it, so... Sayori, I've already made up my mind. I really can't figure you out sometimes. Sorry. Besides, like I said, I've enjoyed catching up with you again. Why would I just change that for another girl? Walking home with you and talking about just anything is a great throwback. She doesn't seem as happy as I'd have imagined. I mean, both our childhoods were pleasant. Strange. The conversation trails off. It's kind of a weird thing for Sayori to care so much about. But I want to respect her and keep her happy too. Sayori and I part ways without saying another word. I reach my house and open the door. I'm home. No response. And I'm alone as usual. I mumble that part to myself. Talking to myself as if I'm the only protagonist of a manga or a game. I must be going stir crazy. Mom is still out on her business trip. She's never home anymore. I do miss her. But I don't blame her for anything. It's hard enough providing for yourself, let alone a kid. Since I'm alone, I decided to make an instant meal for dinner. Digging through my cabinets, I find some old cups. Miso soup sounds good. I actually do dig miso soup, it's pretty dope. I unwrap the packaging, pour in some water, and place the meal in the microwave. While it cooks, my mind wanders back to my performance earlier. That daydream was so vivid, so realistic. Can I really pull off that performance again, but this time in front of a crowd? I wasn't even that great in the first place, just doing it in front of the girls was nerve-wracking. I guess I'm not really used to being around people again. Maybe that's it. Thinking about it, I guess I've kind of been subconsciously isolating myself from people ever since the divorce. Before it even, in some cases. I wonder when I started shunning myself. Maybe that's part of why Sayori and I drifted apart over the past few years? It wasn't intentional or anything, it just happened. At least I don't think it was intentional. But I'm glad I got to reconnect with her in the literature club. It's given me something to do. Something to look forward to that isn't anime or video games. Talking with the girls has made me feel more appreciated. It's a nice feeling. Something that's been missing from me ever since the divorce. Alright, cool. My voice cracked at the ripe age of 27. Oh, already. It's also kind of my throat needing to be cleared right now. Yeah, that is a rough feeling I can actually very much relate to. Right there. I've definitely had some friendships where people just drifted apart over time, and it kind of fucking sucks when that happens. Friendships in general that I can think of very clearly of people that I was very close to, and now I just don't really talk to them as much. I don't know. It is a rough feeling, my friend. That is for sure. So, that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this up, shall we? Sayori. The more I think about it, the more concerned for her I get. She said some pretty weird stuff. But I guess people have their off days. Maybe she's just changed a little bit over the years. Pretty normal, right? I'd like to think I'd be able to tell if something was up with her. Although, given our recent distance, I'm not so sure. Sure, we've started talking again, but there's a lot of lost time. Maybe that'll change and we'll get back to how we used to be. Beep! I hope. Great internal monologue. And that's going to wind up wrapping everything up here, ladies and gentlemen, for this session. I have editing that I need to do, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video, which I believe will be episode 9 or 10. I'm not 100% sure. I fucked that one up. So, I will see you guys later. Take it easy.